do this. I need to start a timer. And then I need to do a song. Rob's Arcade. Rob's Arcade. Alright, hopefully that won't be like too jarring here with the game music and then the intro to the video. Alright guys, welcome back to Rob's Arcade. It is very exciting to be here on this beautiful weekend here. Happy Easter to you all as well. I'm really excited to be doing this. We're kicking off some more retro rewind weekend. I am a huge sucker for a side-scrolling beat 'em up game. Am I tripping, or is the side moving? Okay, it is. Oh my god, I was like, whoa, what did I take this morning? Okay, whew. Yeah, sometimes the coffee kicks in a little too hard. But I'm a sucker for these side-scrolling beat 'em up games from the 90s, and they just keep pumping out these awesome collections of games here. We've got this new X-Men collection that just dropped, and we're going to be hanging out, looking at this over the next few weekends, kind of taking a look at some of these X-Men games. But there's also something else I've been wanting to talk about, and it's really cool how this all, like, my life is very ironic. I can't help but notice little weird pieces, like that's a weird thing, like that's weird timing. You know, it's a lot of weird timing. It is Easter weekend, so everybody's like hanging out, doing the thing with the family, looking for the Easter eggs and getting the candies and the chocolate bunnies and dyeing eggs and all that, great stuff. I'm excited. My cousin just had a couple of kids this last couple of years, and I think his firstborn's about to be 2. And he just had another one a few months ago, and so it's exciting time for him, to see the kids get all pumped up over looking for some Easter eggs and stuff is always fun. But I remember the last time I got a Easter basket back in the 90s, and it was interesting. Oh, I like this. Okay, so you got like the arcade, the Mega version, which is Sega, and then the Nintendo 8-bit. Okay, that's really cool. But the X-Men games, Marvel games, Easter, retro gaming, all of this is it all in the same ballpark, if you will. So we're gonna be hanging out here back at Retro Rewind Weekend, not only looking at these games, watching some Clueless, as a matter of fact. We're doing it hard. We're jumping back into the 90s hard here. But I wanted to talk about these games and X-Men and Genesis and Easter. And I've been thinking about some of this stuff leading into the week. I watch a lot of retro gamers and things like that. Some of them, it's interesting, and they don't always. It's funny, like sometimes these retro gamers and stuff, like they'll do these reviews and talk about these games, but like they didn't really grow up with them, And it's not to say that you can't do a review on a game or something just because you didn't like grow up with it. I'm not saying that, but it's just interesting that so often, and it's not all the time. There are some retro guys out there that actually grew up with this stuff. Sometimes I'll watch this stuff and I'm like, these guys, why are they telling these stories? Why are they reviewing these things? They didn't really even grow up with this stuff. And I'm like, I grew up with all of this stuff, and some of my best memories, whether it's holidays or birthdays or just like summer vacations and stuff, revolve around video games and renting video games, and the fact that I had a video store right across the street from where I lived. But it got me thinking about Easter back in. Excuse me. Let's actually look at the date. I haven't really looked at the date on this, but it was back in the 90s. The X-Men game had just come out for the Sega Genesis, and I remember being super excited about it. Okay, so it's 1993. Yeah, 1993. And let's see, when was this released? North America, March 15th. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so yeah, March 15th, this game came out, and I wanted this game so bad. Like, it was all I wanted. It was the marketing. I remember the magazine ads. Like, this was a game that I just had to have. It was the one where it had like Wolverine launching at you on the cover with all the other X-Men like surrounding. It came with the cool like poster inside, and you had a few playable characters, and then you could call on other X-Men to kind of come in and save the day. And I remember really, really wanting that game, but my birthday was way off. Christmas was way away. Like, we had just really come out of all of that, you know, like we were just wrapping up the holidays and, you know, kind of putting all that behind us. And I remember, like, really, I mean, like, begging my dad. I was really into comics at this time. Like, this was when, you know, like, I had discovered superheroes. Image Comics had you know, come out. I was grabbing up every issue of Spawn that I possibly could, and you know, X-Men was another really big title of mine. You had the animated series that was out on Fox. That was like I think that was one of the, like, I loved that show growing up, the 90s animated series on Fox television. I remember being upset if I missed it on Saturday mornings. But I think that was part of it. It was like I could play the X-Men on the game. It kind of looked like Wolverine kind of looked like that, you know. And I think it was more of a modern look, but like Cyclops kind of had like the same stance off to the side. Spider-Man wasn't in that game. This was like a different game, and sadly that game is not included on this collection. But they do have the game here. And what's crazy, I think I'm most excited about playing the game here in the Game Boy versions of these games right here. That's some heavy music, right? I love that. But yeah, so I really wanted that game, but there was like, you know, and I'm thinking I can probably rent it or something when it comes, but I mean, I really wanted it. I wanted to be able to play the Adventures of the X-Men on my home console, and I just remember begging and begging, and then coming home on, I think it was like Friday afternoon, the Friday before Easter, and on the, like, not necessarily like the coffee table, but the end tables next to the couch, you know, we had like our lamps on there, and there was like a phone and caller ID and all of that stuff. And sitting there was like an Easter basket for my sister. And I think it had some stuff in there like she was into, but it was mostly just like candy and jelly beans and that sort of thing. And then there was like a card for her in the Easter basket. I don't want to say it was a Barbie doll, but it was like whatever she was into, there was like something in there for her, like some kind of a toy too. And then for me, there was just this X-Men video game and a card. And the game wasn't wrapped up or anything like that. It was, you know, just the game and the card. And I remember, I think like the first kind of like words out of my mouth, if you will, were like, you know, hey, where's my Easter basket kind of a thing. But my dad was a genius, man. He was kind of like, you know, like, look, dude, we can spend, you know, like $50 on a bunch of candy for you, or I could get you this video game. Like, what do you want, you know? Which is amazing parent logic. And I feel like sometimes, working so much around parents and kids and all of that, like, you hear these arguments, and it's just like parents are like, I can't afford this, and I can't afford that, and I can't buy them this, and I can't buy them that. But it's like, well, I mean, maybe not, but you'll spend like, what, like 30, $50 on an Easter basket, and it's like, well, maybe get them something that they really want, get them a little candy. They don't need like a whole basket of treats and sugar. Just give them like a little candy, dye some eggs, and then maybe get them something that they really want. My dad was just super. I remember the logic and just hearing that, being like, yeah, you're right. You can buy me $50 worth of jelly beans, or you can buy me an X-Men game. Excuse me, I'm sorry. But the Silver Surfer, oh my god, I hear this is like one of the gems of the NES as far as like impossible games to beat. I think it's one of those, like, you get hit one time, you're dead. It is just like constant. You need like the turbo controller, because it's just like constant shooting. But yes, this is kind of fitting. This collection of games just released a few weeks ago. Maybe it's only like a week ago or so. Very recent. Something I was definitely looking at checking out, but being that it's not only the weekend and it's perfect for retro rewinds, it just felt fitting to jump back into some Sega Genesis classic X-Men Marvel games, if you will, let's actually look at some of the archive stuff. While we get into Easter, it just seemed really, really fitting that all of this kind of just naturally developed sitting. Oh, that's cool. That's like a Shield logo. I was like, not even paying attention to that. But it's like I said, it's just very interesting. I was thinking, like, do I get this title? I know I'm probably going to. I'd kind of pulled away from doing some retro rewind stuff anyway, simply because I was kind of running out of collections and games to play. But lo and behold, there's always something new and cool rolling out. I love a lot of the like modern collections as well. They just did a Marvel Cosmic Invasion game, which is super solid. It's very colorful, very bright, side-scrolling beat-em-up title. And what's interesting is it kind of reminds me of like what games, like how we imagine games looked back in the day. You pop these games in now, they're dated. Like some of the cutscenes are kind of slow and clunky, and it might just be a static image gliding across the screen to give some kind of illusion that there's some animation going on. And now they were, like they have Shredder's Revenge. I even kind of throw the new Streets of Rage into that category, even though it's a sequel and not so much a reimagining. Power Rangers, I think they just did one. But there's these constant like re-releases. So Jane, Silent Bob have another one coming out. But that's really cool. I like that a lot. That's really awesome. Got that one staple right there in the middle, it looks like. Wow. But those titles, I feel like, there's like the newer ones, when you pop those on, and I was about to say pop them in, but you don't really pop them in anymore. But you pop those games on, when those animations start up and those cutscenes and everything kick in, it's like that's what my brain saw when, you know, the opening credits kicked off for that 16-bit title. You know, like when you kick off with that really cool opening sequence in Streets of Rage 4, and all the fire and the music and all, that's how my brain processed the opening to the original Streets of Rage. You know, when that music first cues in and it has the pan of the city. Excuse me, I'm a little burpy there for my coffee. But when the camera starts to pan across that static image and then the characters just like pop up and like that felt like full on animation. So it's interesting that these titles, as they come out, even though they are revamped and modern, they still make me think of the old classic titles. So I'm excited to jump into this and play some of these games. I've never played a lot of these, to be honest. I think really the only one that I can say I have played is the Marvel Arcade, which is super. I mean, that alone I think is reason to own this collection. It's like that was the title, Sploosh. That was the no, that's Spadoosh. Brakuma. That's awesome. Quang. Yeah, the X-Men arcade, that was one of the largest arcade games. You have, like, you know, every teen huddled around there, get all your friends in. But like Maximum Carnage, this is a title that I'd never played growing up, which is interesting, being that it was a Marvel title and it was a side-scrolling like beat 'em up that I didn't. I'm imagining that by the time this came out, I was probably on to Sega CD titles at that point. I often think about like why didn't I play some of these games? But unless there was like a Sega CD release, I'm most likely, I would honestly sometimes wait. Like games would come out for the Sega and the Sega CD, and if there was going to be a Sega CD release, I would often just wait to play it on that. And I don't think this ever did a CD release, which would have been amazing, like a Sega CD Maximum Carnage title. Because from what I understand, some of the music was amazing. They probably could have done some really amazing, like, cool cutscene stuff. But I can imagine that's probably the only reason I didn't play this. Which is sad, because even though I was able to take part in some really cool Sega CD titles, I did miss out on some really cool Sega. Something else I'm going to be doing in 26 here, which is very much also why I wanted to get a hold of this title, not just for the nostalgia purposes or the fact that it's a cool collection of old titles, but also the fact that it's a Marvel release. And I think 26 is all going to be about, you know, like Marvel. Is that Cyborg? Down there at the bottom? Wait, can I zoom in? Oh yeah, I can. Who is that? Oh, just Deathlock. It looks like a Cyborg from Teen Titans. The sprite does anyway. That's really cool. And they got the Sam Wilson Captain America. It's a goldfish? Oh, it's Iron Fist. Iron Fist, the goldfish. So, I'm sorry, I was getting a little sucked into this. It's like you got the. Are these all different stages? That's freaking awesome. Just getting kind of sucked into all this here. Oh shit! I don't know if I went through all of those. It's actually hit the wrong button. Or I'll just go into here. But anyway, 26 is going to be about Marvel titles. There's been a bunch of stuff coming out. Like I said, we've had the Cosmic Invasion, which I haven't gotten through all of yet. I played a little bit more of that just over the past week. And again, a great side-scrolling beat-em-up style with like the new smooth colors and graphics and everything. There's a new like fighting game coming out. Whispers of a Spider-Man 3. I never finished Spider-Man Miles Morales. Never finished my Guardians of the Galaxy. So there's a few Marvel titles that I haven't gotten through. A few that more coming out. I've got this whole collection. And so I think what I'm going to make 2026 about is let's get through all of the Marvel games. And it's not going to take me the whole year to get through all of them. At least I'm hoping not. But I just thought that would be a fun challenge to kind of jump into as we hop in here and share videos. And I'm not sure how much longer some of the support is going to be running for things like my GTA video updates that I do. There's whispers that at some point soon PS4 titles are going to stop having support. In fact, I heard yesterday that it's already happened across the board for a lot of them, but the GTA updates that I do, I was just like really happy to get back into that. Some of my favorite things to do is those updates, but you know, there might just be some hanging out in New York, swinging around as Spider-Man, doing some of the same kind of stuff. That art right there is what I grew up with as far as like those Spider-Man comics go. That's amazing. Is it like Bagley? So cool. First time Venom and Spider-Man actually have to like join up. That's like when Venom actually kind of started to become more of an anti-hero as opposed to a villain. And I think that was part of that marketing for Carnage was like, and those other symbiotes is, well, if you have Venom and you have Carnage, and you have like who's the baddest of the bad and who's really the worst, and so it became this thing of like, well, let's make a crazier, even worse villain than Venom, but then make sure everybody remembers that Venom is the strongest and he's the main symbiote. The lethal protector and all of that started to kind of to roll out. This was another one I never played, Separation Anxiety. I didn't even know this was a title, to be honest, until this collection came out. And then I've heard a lot of people, since this title came out, a lot of retro gamers and stuff like that, like I said, that I follow, have talked about this and remember playing this growing up, but this was one I do not recall. Not even seeing like marketing or advertisement for it or anything like that. In fact, I would be surprised if I went through any of my 90s comics and saw this, because yeah, like even that just looks so brand new to me. Oh wow. This is good. This is what I think, this is silly, but these are what I think most excited about is the portable editions. And not because they're good, I'm sure they're awful, but that's kind of like why I want to play them, if that makes any sense. I'm sure they're hideous, but there's just something about playing these handheld titles, these handheld ports, these portable ports. Got some Jim Lee art there. Was that a minecart? Oh god. Some more Jim Lee. Storm. Dunk the Mutant. Alright. Some more Jim Lee art. More Jim Lee art. I had the Game Gear, and that's, I think, what I'm most excited about is the Game Gear, which again, I'm sure is awful. It'd be more fun and more of a novelty to play it on the Game Gear. But just to see the game itself and how it handles and some of the controls. So it looks like we got a mix of like Bagley and Jim Lee art. Then I'm not sure who did the Sentinel up in the corner. This could be the gear. Oh man, so cool. Oh, that's the alarm. Signaling it's about time to wrap up. But yeah, I remember those instruction booklets. Like the Game Gear's marketing and graphics on the box and stuff did have that weird candy stripe, purple, pink thing going on. I do remember that. Oh, we got some McFarlane art there. That's amazing. Gotta love some of the McFarlane art. Well, guys, I'm gonna excuse me, wrap up this video here. We are gonna jump back in. We're gonna be back. We're gonna play some of this. Got some more Dunk the Mutant. Oh, it looks like each character has their own. I think I remember playing some of this game actually. I hate this game, to be honest with you. Crap. That makes me sad and disappointed. Yeah, I do remember this. Oh god. Yeah, god. Oh god. No. No. All right, well, guys, pop back. I don't think I'm gonna be playing this game here. I'll probably jump in and play some X-Men here and fully celebrate this Easter Sunday with you guys and some cool MaXimum collection here on my PlayStation. So make sure you like, share, subscribe. Excuse me, gosh. Like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you're doing for this Easter, and come back for a little excitement here with some X-Men games here on Easter. It's going to be excellent. It's like somebody's like eggs hunt, there's X-Men, eggs. Yeah, okay, anyway. All right, guys, I'll see you later. Make sure take care of yourself, take care of each other, and until next time, don't spend a quarter anywhere else. See ya.